Peace family, this is Ayapo, and I want to welcome you to this edition of the Draped Maniac podcast. I am the HDIC, that is the head Draped Maniac in charge, and my whole conversation is about how to get off this plantation. I want to talk about true believers today. I was thinking about that. You know, before you can approach somebody and talk to someone about any subject, before you want to have a meaningful dialogue with someone, you have to understand where they are, or you have to understand where they're coming from. Before you can have a meaningful dialogue with someone, you have to understand where they are in relationship to you. I've often said that a person's foundational premise is everything. You know, I like to try to make sure that my foundational premise is accurate, because if your foundational premise is in error, then everything that comes from it is going to be equally as erroneous, if not more. So if you're starting out with a bad premise, then it's really not helpful. That said, and just understanding that all people have different points of view, people have different belief systems and so on. If I'm an atheist and I'm talking to someone who believes in a higher power, whether you call that higher power God or Allah or Yah, I use Yah, but if you're talking to someone in say I'm an atheist and I'm talking to them, and anything that I say to them does not include anything at all about faith, then it's going to likely fall on deaf ears at some point, depending on what we're talking about, or vice versa. If I'm a person of faith and I'm basing my reasoning upon the Bible or the Quran or you know, or anything that's faith based, and I'm talking to an atheist, then it's not going to mean anything to them. No matter how much I yell it or scream it or whatever, it's not going to make it mean anything to them. So you have to talk to people where they are. So, you know, when it comes to ADOS, yesterday Kamala Harris dropped out of the presidential race and so on, and a lot of our people were celebrating. She's a bad candidate, and so, you know, everybody, you know, black people are celebrating, ADOS are celebrating, and I'm like, what are you celebrating for? But here's the thing: where are you coming from? Where are you coming from? If you're a true believer is a person who believes that this system can somehow be fixed, that this system can somehow be used in our favor or retrofitted, then you're coming from a totally different place than I'm coming from. I don't believe that there's any way for our people to get any kind of justice at all within this system. And when I say at all, that's exactly what I mean. At all. Zero. None. Nada. Okay? So, if, you know, we have those who believe that all we have to do is teach white people. All we have to do is get them to understand our plight, get them to understand our pain, get them to understand, you know, what's happening to us and what's been done to us, and understand our points. And they get the heck out of here. They already know. They already know. And they benefit from it. And they're in denial about it, because they want to believe in this whole, you know, we were rugged individualists and we got everything by the sweat of our brow and so on. Get the heck out of here. When the government was giving you land, and then sending county agents out to teach you how to work that land and so on, giving you grants for school and so on, while they were locking us out of the system. Okay, giving you cars while they were locking us out of the system. And so for us, if you're a person who believes that this system can be rehabilitated, if you believe that there are white people who truly care enough in mass, in mass, not just like one or two people, to turn this system around, then nothing that I say is going to matter to you. Nothing I say is going to matter to you. It's not going to help at all. It's just like, a person of faith talking to an atheist. It's not going to help because we're coming from two totally different places. Our foundational premises are completely different. So in terms of politics and these elections and who's running and so on, we get all caught up in, who's running, who's dropping out, who's in front, who's behind, who cares? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to us because no matter what happens, things aren't going to get better for us. That's the game that we play with ourselves, is to think that somehow we're going to do something that's going to make them do right by us. And when I say them, I'm talking about the system of white supremacy, which consists of human beings. I'm talking about the government system that was set up for and by white people, and not for and by us, and definitely not for us. So, as a person who is not a true believer, I don't pay attention to politics, not really. I'm not gonna lie and say I don't watch it. Sometimes I watch the impeachment hearings. I seldom ever miss a presidential debate. I love watching them, but I like watching them for the same reason that I enjoy watching I don't know, a good movie, watching the freaking Avengers. I don't believe that the political debates and presidential debates and all the political theater stuff, I don't believe that's real any more than I believe freaking, the Infinity Saga is real. I don't. It's all fantasy to me. And it's entertaining. But I don't believe it as reality. The reality is that we live in a system that works because we're at the bottom of it. And the moment that we stop being at the bottom of it, the system will stop working. So basically, this is the thing that really gets to me. Basically, you're asking white people, you're asking the people in the government, you're asking a government to basically turn itself on its head and stop working so that I can get up. Why, oh, why would they want to do that? Why? And I hear all the talk about we have to put pressure on them, we have to make demands and so on. Power concedes nothing without a demand. We don't have any power in that way. We just don't. And I think that it's very hard for us to accept that within this system, see, this is what you have to grasp, or this is what I have grasped. Within the construct that we live in, within this construct, we have no power. Zero. And that's a hard pill to swallow. But not swallowing it isn't going to make it any less true. Not accepting it isn't going to make it any less true. Closing your eyes to it isn't going to make it any less true. Within this construct, we have no power. Zero. We like to think that we do. Kamala Harris went down, and we're trying to say ADOS too. No, ADOS did not take down Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris's record took her down. Her record of the things that she has done is what took her down. Now, some could say, okay, well, by virtue of ADOS not jumping on the bandwagon for her, that's what took her down. I personally don't believe that. I just believe that overall, her record is what took her down. And I will submit to you that at some point, as ADOS keeps pushing, okay, it'll become zero sum. What do I mean by that? Say there are 4 people running for something, and the black vote, if that even happens like that, the black vote would be what gets them over. What if all 4 candidates totally ignore black people? 100% ignore black people. Then it cancels it out. You know, it's like watching a football game and you have a team that's up by, you know, they're up by 2 touchdowns. And then the next team, and you're you're in the second quarter. Team A has 2 touchdowns, has 14 points on the board. Team B has nothing on the board. They're going to the second quarter. Team B gets 2 touchdowns that are not answered by Team A. So the score is once again, the score is 14-14, which in essence is just 0. Is back to 0. So if you, and I hope this is making sense. If I'm saying, I'm hoping I'm saying this right. If you have 4 people who are running for something and all 4 of them ignore black people, and black people don't vote for or support any of them, then they're all at 0. They're all at 0. All they have to do is in a consensus agree to not give a damn about what black people think. And that puts all of them flush. I hope that makes some sense. So we don't have the power we would like to think that we have. Not at all. And the only power that we can ever have is if we separate and start building our own communities, our own, controlling our own narrative and so on. And everybody, you know, well, it takes money to do. Well, you know what? People will say, well, that takes money. And when I was in Costa Rica, I saw people living very modestly. Very, very modestly. I mean, they had a roof over their head and food to eat and clothes to wear. And they looked just as not stressed as they could look. Looked at peace, going and sitting on the beach, walking along the beach. Everybody we passed smile. And it was they smiled easily. And it was because they didn't feel all pressured. And the reason they didn't feel all pressured was because they weren't chasing a carrot. You know, they weren't chasing a carrot. We get on this treadmill and we're chasing, and the society teaches us to keep chasing. And we start getting frustrated. And it gets hard. But what we have to do is get off the treadmill. Because what you got to understand is I don't necessarily disagree with, in principle, with what ADOS is attempting to do. Not at all. And especially when it comes to reparations. But I'm thinking that the chink in the armor is that we're overlooking the fact that in a perfect world, the things that we're pushing for would work. But what the leadership is not taking into account, and what a lot of descendants of enslaved Africans are not taking into account, is that we are living in a system, within a system that is fixed. You understand? The game is fixed. It's fixed so that you cannot win. And no matter how much screaming, hollering, pushing you do it's not going to make this system change from being fixed. It's a crooked system. And it's crooked on purpose and is built to perpetuate itself. Therefore, the only option, as far as I'm concerned, the only option is to get away from this system. Whereas I'm always saying, with the analogy of the casino, where you're in there and the games are fixed, get out of the casino and stop putting your money in. Stop. Leave. So anyway, that's where I'm coming from. That's where I'm coming from. But I will say this: if you're a true believer, I'm not mad at you. Believe. You could be right. I could be wrong. Everybody has their opinion. Everybody has their way of seeing things. I don't think that I'm wrong, though. But I could speak to someone else who is a true believer and they don't believe that they're wrong. So ultimately, it all comes out in the wash, as they say. And will eventually, the word I was looking for, eventually we'll see who was right. I guess that'll do it for this installment of the Draped Maniac podcast. This is Ayapo Yapa, the HDIC, the head Draped Maniac in charge. Be sure and check out our website, Doia Media. That's DOEAIA Media, Descendants of Enslaved Africans in America Media. And there you'll find more pro-black content, and of course, Up Magazine, UP Magazine, unapologetically pro-black. And it is for our people. It is the magazine of the pro-black community. And in it you'll find relevant articles and some fun stuff. It's just a good resource for our people. And also visit us at UPTV. And on UPTV, you'll find, they haven't uploaded anything yet, but they will. They said we have one from Lashif for you. And I need to put my own content up there. But uncensored material by powerful voices in the pro-black community. Lashif for you, the Radical Sisters, Anjali Shabazz, and the Psychopathist. Powerful voices in our community, as well as others in written articles. So be sure to check it all out. It was all designed with you in mind. Also, don't forget to visit the Doia Media store, where we have t-shirts and caps and cups and so on. And they are designed, once again, with the pro-black community in mind. Here we are B1, BB1, and BBL. Black first, believe black first, and blame black last. That's us. So this is Ayapo Yapa, head Draped Maniac in charge, signing off, and I will see you on the run.